Welcome to part two, Dennis. Hope you're well. Dennis, when I first started with you a long time ago, I asked you this question: what is pay-per-view supposed to mean? And you told me a story about when you went to New York and you sat with HBO. Tell me what pay-per-view is supposed to mean, Dennis.
Pay-per-view is when you're sat as a normal human being and you've got an urge. It's like going to watch Sheffield Wednesday in a cup final. I've got to get a ticket for that. So it's that sort of feeling. I need a ticket to watch this fight. I need to pay to watch this fight. It's not just buying a ticket to get you from A to B. It's something that's supposed to be like a, a special event. And that's what they said about it. It's got to be where I cannot miss this event. And that's what more or less what in so many words what he said to me.
When it came out, I understand that, but what do you think's happened now with the pay-per-view? Do you think that it's watered down? For example, we'll go
I'm going
back.
to give you an analogy.
Yeah.
Um, when the congestion charge were brought in London, it was supposed to, I suppose, make a difference to the traffic in London. It wasn't. What is it? It's just a way of exhuming money from the paying public. And that's all it is. It's just another money spinner. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to do it, but how many times can you go to the well?
Yeah.
And at some stage, the well is going to run dry. But the people who are taking the pay-per-view money, and people might say, it's all right because it's not him. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it on one or two occasions where I think, right, I need to charge for this because that way I can get both fighters paid. But when you do it too regular, then it's milking. It's milking, and I'm afraid we're getting to the stage where the public, I believe, are getting milked too many times.
I don't like to hark back hark back to Frotcher's career, but I've studied it at length and I know everything about his career. So I use that
Mm-hmm.
as an example. Now, when he was at Sky, he only had three pay-per-views, but when he lost to Andre Ward, which weren't pay-per-view, he fought
Yeah,
Bute. Bute were
yeah,
pound for pound, 30, we know the story, don't we? 24 KOs.
yeah.
He'd had 10 defenses at IBF. Frotch fought him on non-pay-per-view.
I was
Forward.
there. I was there. Boucher trained at my gym for that fight in Sheffield.
Yeah, yeah.
I was there for it. That got pay-per-view written all over it.
Yeah, I know you snake having Bute at your gym.
It's
But
professional. I mean, obviously, I didn't want Boucher to win. I wanted Carl to win because of obviously he's British and he's just up
yeah,
the road.
yeah.
But I never went down because apparently some of the French they were a bit ignorant. Some of the people around him, so I didn't want to go around him. But you just asked me if I'd let him use my gym. I said yeah. I don't think they even dropped us a penny. Um, but they were ignorant. They were ignorant in the end. So I thought, well, he seemed a nice enough fella, Booty.
Yeah.
But some of the people around him seemed a bit ignorant. So I just let him use it as a gesture for the promotion. But no, I was there. Wanted Carl to win, obviously, because he's British and he's like I say, he's just up the road. And he did. He did an amazing job on him. But yeah, that got pay per view. If you look at it today, it were absolutely pay per view.
Yeah, but if you look what we've got now, Eubank and Beefy Smith wouldn't have been pay-per-view 10 years ago, would it?
No chance. No chance.
So the product, we all agree then, is watered down then, or is it the pay-per-view that they're watering down?
It's the pay per view they're watering down. It's you're paying for something. It's just like I say, it's just like another congestion charge. Why should you pay a congestion charge? Because it's not making a big difference to the traffic, and it's just another way of getting extra money out of you. But it is milking it a bit because it's not an out and out pay per view fight, is it? Let's be honest.
Beefy against Eubank is a good headliner on a non-pay-per-view. It's a good solid headliner, isn't it?
Of
And
course, it
I
is.
think we're losing touch now with what is a good solid card because I've been looking at some of your cards recently, and are they that much worse than what Sky and BT are putting on, Dennis? Or are they that much better? Does that sound better? Does that sound worded better?
I know what you're saying. I don't think they are. I think we're going it right. Try on the right. I think we're on the right track. We just need a little bit more support. But I mean, like I've said this many a time, Russ, that I've been promoting 30 years. I'll back myself with any of them if I've got the same resource, because I do get kids opportunities who aren't necessarily, your Olympians and whatever. But I can put big shows on. I had Ricky out here. He last week. He loved working with me, and we all know the reason why that relationship, professional relationship, got cut short. It weren't me and Ricky. It was his dad. So he's got quite a lot to answer for. But it's a shame because I used to get on really well with his mum and dad. Um, but I did a great job for Ricky up until I never wanted him to fight Mayweather. I thought we could have put that on the burner like Bob Arum did with Bob Arum. But going on about pay-per-view again, Russ, that was a proper pay-per-view. You got a superstar from England and a superstar from the US. That's what you call a pay-per-view.
What Atom Mayweather? Yeah. Oh, obviously, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. Events, that's where I'm using that as an example. Events that you've got to see. I've got to see that, and that's what that was. Not Beefy versus Eubanks. It's not. And some of our shows, yeah, we've got some quality shows and they're good matchups. And so I'm proud of where we're going. And me and Crumpy are looking to, well, we've regrouped. And like I said to you in that other interview, that we're quite confident where we're going in 2023. Yeah, there's through whatever reason, people not being honourable and whatever, are going to fall by the wayside, and whether we sue certain people and get some money off them or something else happens, I don't know. But that's another front we're going to battle on. Meanwhile, we're going to plough ahead and still build a smashing stable with some good kids who appreciate what we're doing for them, and we'll produce and deliver some meaningful titles, and we'll have some smashing nights. Not every kid, not every kid sells major tickets, so we have to make a decision on certain fights if what we're going to subsidise. Now, more small old promoters, they have to rely on ticket sales because that's the way of the world. But as the world is at the moment, it's going to be tough out there because people's having to pull the reins in a bit. So you just have to cut your cloth accordingly. But we'll continue to put some smashing fights on, value for money, and Fight Zone as a brand is still there, and we're gonna build again and go to another level in 2023. And we've got some smashing excursions, not just in the UK, where we're going to put some title fights on and be involved with some co-promotions as well as Fight Academy promoting outside of England. There's going to be some good little shows and events coming together. And I think 2024, I think we will be well established because I think we're going to have to build again in 2023 because we started off on fire during the lockdown, had a bit of a lull because of, I don't want to point the finger at too many people, but because we have been let down by certain people, but we've kept ploughing away. We've kept producing decent fights for decent kids, and we'll do it again. And your Jack Masses and people like that who have forgot where they've come from, and think that once that you're just a stepping stone. Well, like I said to you yesterday, with an investment is what it is. What if you Google or what does investment mean? It means you're investing to get a return. So our return was winning something, but we've got to start to get a return on our subsidy, and some people don't want to play that game. Well, they shouldn't be in the game if they don't want to do the right thing. And that's what's got to be sifted out of this game because it will never flourish to the heights that it could do because it's got too many dishonourable people inside an industry that there's nothing more honourable than two men doing combat in sport, whether it's boxing, whether it's the 100 meters to see who's the best. And boxing is the ultimate. is a test mentally and physically. And if the better man beats you on the night, 99.9 times the loser embraces the winner. And that's an honourable thing to do, because then you go, right, I'm going to come again, or you go, no, I've been bettered, and that's my level. But it's a test, but it's the people that surround some of these athletes, and not all these athletes are honourable, by the way. So it's you could say, well, why am I in the game? It's the thrill and the buzz of winning, and when I'm not supposed to, and I've done it time and time again, and even with those dishonourable people who haven't shared the same sort of honour as what I do, and morals, it's on my CV. I've got them up there, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it for people who I think appreciate what we're doing for them, and we'll have one or two great journeys with some new blood what we've got coming through.
Right then. Okay, we'll do these next 20 questions in 20 minutes. Right, 1 minute a question.
Go on then.
Dave Allen, what next?
Dave's obviously his life's changed because he's had a beautiful little girl, so he's got a different outlook on life. But I think he's from what I'm hearing, he's evaluated what he wants to do. He believes some unfinished business. He wants to have a couple of at least one warm up fight, get back in the ring, and try and get in a big meaningful fight, whether it's against Fabio Yardley, Nathan Gorman, or whoever. It might be Babic, because he's still on the radar. So he wants to be in a meaningful fight, and hopefully I can produce that. And he has one or two big nights and then gets out of the game, because I don't want Dave to stay in the game for too long. He's got a bit of mileage on the clock, but I think he's still got a big win in him.
All right. Cattrall Taylor, Sky pay-per-view, who wins?
I think Taylor.
Tom Little, have you signed Tom Little?
No.
All right. Dave Allen versus Chisora.
Great fight, but Chisora should have retired ages ago, and he don't like people saying that, but because he's always going to pay my bills. Well, he's playing with his health now. He's got a young family. He shouldn't be boxing anymore. I didn't really like to see Tyson versus Chisora. I didn't like it, and it's a good job he weren't in with somebody like Deontay Wilder, because you've got to be able to enjoy your kids growing up, and that's what I fear for Derek now. He needs to look to hang his gloves up. I think Dave Allen and him are similar sort of standard, where the fringe world scene, but can be in some great fights. If he were going to have one big last fight, Dave Allen would be a great fight. I wanted to make that a while ago, but yeah, if he were going to continue, but part of me hopes that Derek hangs his gloves up now.
All right. Out of the 8 world champions you've had since you've been doing this, who's been the hardest to work with?
There were Stewie Hall, got him up there, changed. Not grateful for what we did for him. Took him out of nowhere, and really, let's be honest, were he much better than British title class? We just got the right fight at the right time for him. Jim McDonald, being comfortable on points when he fought for a British and maybe European. I can't remember if for European as well, but then I get him a world title just through me manoeuvring him. So he was hard work. The other fella who was a bit of a diva was David A. Because he were a bit of a star, but very, very pedantic, very pedantic. But he were a star at the time, and a up and coming star, and we paved the way by getting him fights and winning the European title with him. Wanted to stay working with him, but they wanted to go and fight a big arena, and I thought at the time, yeah, maybe, but I didn't think he was quite ready when he fought Carl Thompson. who were an absolute gentleman to work with, and then they want to go and fight at a big arena and fight a name for a world title, and that's what we provided. But you know what the result was. So for me, we could have hung about a little bit more because he wasn't the finished article at the time, David. And I've heard since that he moaned that I only put him in some small arenas. Well, obviously that stated justified why we were doing it because it wasn't the finished article. And it's like with Campbell Hatton, for example, he's been on the big stage, but he's fell short a few times because he's not the finished article yet. So for me, they should have brought him up on smaller hall shows where they're learning, but he's been getting booed in a lot of his fights. That's not nice for a young kid who's still learning on the job. He's not his dad. His dad was a top amateur. Campbell wasn't. So it's that sort of scenario. David A wasn't the finished article, but it was hard work because, like I said, they were very pedantic and fussy and to the point of being arrogant at times. But I was friends with him, but they weren't easy to work with. And it's not in my nature to stand for anybody who's not well mannered and talks down to people. But he never talked down to me really, because obviously I stand my ground with people. But he were a talent, and I think if he'd have stayed working with us, I think even though he achieved amazing things, I think we could have done even better and had a better run.
Were easy to work with Adam Booth?
At times, no. A bit pompous, Adam, but I like him. He's got that pompous thing and he knows it. And he's meticulous in his preparation, but he don't get everything right like I don't. But I advise him not to fight Carl Thompson, but he thought he knew better. And like I say, they were at the point where they didn't think they could do anything wrong, and that's a weakness. And sometimes you have to open your ears to people who's been in the game a long time and take it on board and make a decision then between you. But they were adamant. That's a good one. Adamant that they wanted to do that Carl Thompson fight, and I advised him not to. And you saw the result. But it's Adam was hard work at times, but it's part of me likes Adam because he's like I say, he's professional. And I know him and David don't talk because they had some big fallout. But Adam was very good for David, and David was absolutely very good for Adam.
Yeah, go to Adam Booth, the Dark Lord. He's the best.
Well, the trainers get names out of being with big name fighters who will go and win something, and that's how you make your name. All the name trainers, you have to have a fella who goes and wins. I mean, how did McCracken get his name? We were on the back of Carl. And I like Robert, but Carl made Robert his name, and he's gone on to earn a lot of money, Robert, through being with Joshua and being at EIS, and what a job he got down there. So Adam in a way has done the same on the back of David A.
Yeah. Okay, Dennis, your top 5 pound for pound at the moment.
Top 5, you've got Crawford. I still think Lomachenko, Usyk and Tyson, I think. And go and help me out.
Beat a Beeve, I know you. Crawford, Spence, Usyk.
No, the Japanese kid. The Japanese kid.
I know you.
Yes.
Yeah, you're having Paul Butler's just fought him and he went 11 rounds with him.
Yeah. I like him.
Well, my top 5's Usyk, Crawford, I know you, Beat a Beeve and Spence. They're all undefeated, and they all don't shout their mouths off like me. Right. Somebody was saying in comment section, I'm going to address it. I'm going to give this lunatic his moment. Dennis, have you had a leg up off your dad in the scrap metal importation industry and all that you're involved with scrap and all this? Have you had a leg up from your dad, or did you do it on your own?
I sold a greyhound to buy a pickle.
The Terry Curran one.
Yeah, you like that story, don't you? So whoever's talking, I have no idea. They don't know me, do they?
Obviously, because your dad were driving around in a roller in '60s and '70s and doing a grand a day, like people think that he's just gone. Yeah, Dennis, here's some scrap metal businesses. Obviously, I know different, don't I?
No. Yeah, you're no different. Listen, my mum left my dad when I was a kid, and we ended up going back to Tin Bath. So I never enjoyed a lot of that, the spoils of what my dad did. He had a great carry on. He ended up back in a council house, my dad, because of his gambling. So, but that's another story. But no, they've no idea. They've no idea.
Yeah, all right. Right, thanks for sorting that out. Ben Shallam's big ideas for VAR in boxing. Will it work?
That kid gets everything out of a book, and life's not out of a book. And that's what it is. You've got people in higher places. I know. I mean, when I sit down with the kid, I've got on with him quite well. But he's not an out and out boxing man. If you had that job, Russ, you've been around the game a long time. You've got your opinions. You try and do the right thing. Yeah, you pass the line for me, and you have done in the past. But you so much more knowledgeable than that kid about this boxing industry, about the people, about how people tick. You've lived life, and you know what it's like when things don't go your way, and when you've had to hang in there in certain situations. He's no idea. He's not. He's got an entitled sort of a personality, and certain times you're going to get found out. But it's working for him at Sky. Sky's the best machine in the world as regards. So, your Reggie and Rube could do that job.
Yeah, yeah, I don't doubt. Anthony Joshua, who should train him? And has his head gone? Is he low on confidence going around all these different American trainers and that? And isn't there a trainer at UK good enough for him?
Well, you know what I'm going to say. If he's serious, and you've watched Rocky 3, haven't you?
Yeah.
If he's serious about wanting to be a top fighter, he's he don't fight for at least 6 months, and he goes and knocks on Peter Fury's door, who's an out and out, just a proper man, and says, "I want to be a top fighter. I want the mentality. I want to get that. I don't want all the entourage around me anymore. I just want to walk out and fight and know that I've left nothing to chance, and let my skills and my attributes take care of business then, instead of worried about how you look, what you smell like, what you look like. I just want to go and fight, and I want to win. If he wants to do that, go knock on Peter's door."
All right, good. Do you feel like you get a fair shake, Dennis, off the board?
Um, I have my spats with the board. They're not perfect, and they're definitely not perfect. And sometimes I accuse them of having double standards. But all in all, I get on well with him, because we, compared to some bodies out in the world, they're up there, but they're definitely not perfect. They address the rule book when it suits. But I do get on well with Robert. I don't think he enjoys the job, and I don't think I would with Robert Smith. And I'm not saying they're not fit for purpose, because obviously we need them, but they leave sometimes a lot to be desired. Like I said to you many times, I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't do everything correct, but I try and do the right thing, and I try and be consistent. And that's where they're falling down. They haven't got my sort of ethics, as work ethics, as regards trying to be consistent. If you're consistent and say no to all parties about certain situations, that's fair enough. But I've found them out numerous times not being consistent, and that's called double standards. And going back to what I've said in the past, you need the small oil promoters. I'm sometimes a small oil promoter to big a big event promoter. I've done it all, but we need the small old promoters, and he's got to be consistent. And this is where they don't see. This is where they're short-sighted. We are the small hole promoter. There's no boxing. Boxing doesn't flourish, and they're talking about now boxing not being an Olympic sport, which I find ludicrous. But so where's the talent going to come from? It's got to come from these small holes. This is where where the footballers come from. They don't all start in the Premiership. They come from Crew Alexander. Remember them when they used to bring players through that who end up at the top level and teams like that. Well, it's the same in boxing. Your Carl Greaves just got Kalos. Your Ian Wilson in Glasgow and promoters like that, Steve Woods. They are a breeding ground for top talent, and that's when they get cherry picked by Eddie and Frank and whoever. So without them, this game is knackered.
Yeah, all right. Has YouTubers shook boxing to the core?
Yeah, I think so. And because we're living in a different world now, and all this social media, people are famous for being famous. What are they famous for? What's the talent? You've got athletes like Joshua, who is a great specimen, Tyson Fury, who's a one-off, and Usyk and people like that who are talented, hard-working, full of bottle, the type, they're heroes for a lot of people. They're role models. YouTubers are just like pranksters and stuff like that, who people want to just want to watch and get up to certain crazy things in their life. The world's changed, but they end up wanting to have a fight and they get stacks of views. Now, I don't know how far it's going to go, but I'm not saying I wouldn't put anything on. And I know you might not like me saying that, but if it works and if you can help the proper fighters, the proper professional fighters, feed off that through a bit of novelty and a bit of theatre, which some other people might want to watch who aren't necessarily out and out boxing people, then I'd do it if there's a means to an end, not just for the sake of just putting a fight on it with a YouTuber. If it can help some of the proper professional kids coming through, I'd look at maybe, putting a toe into the water with doing something with the YouTubers, because it's at the end of the day, it's an entertainment. But I'm a purist. I want to see out and out boxing. But if we have to diversify a little bit to achieve that, then I will do.
Right. Okay, the last 9 questions, 9 minutes. Talent pool, is the talent pool low at the moment in the UK for boxing? Yes or no?
I don't think so, Russ. I think there's a lot of kids turning pro, and some people are saying that the talent's not there. Well, I think it is, and I think that maybe the promoters are spoiling it because they're making matchups and it's happened over the years where fighters avoid each other, but it's happening too much now. I think fighters have just got to fight each other. Joshua should have fought Tyson Fury a long time ago, and that should have happened. Eddie and Frank should have come together, whether it's Eddie and Frank or Eddie and Bob. Now, Eddie and Bob and Frank, there's a lot of animosity between them. So they, for whatever reason, and I'm not saying it's not bona fide, that they are stopping that fight happening. Now, Joshua and Tyson, how many fights have they got left in him? I don't know. I mean, Tyson's on about it, says he could maybe keep fighting and he needs to keep fighting, which I get. But, he's been in the game a long time. His body's going to start to creak. And I don't want to see him get beat because his body's letting him down.
Okay.
And it's with Joshua. He needs to be in big fights. He's a massive name. Go and fight Tyson Fury. It's a massive fight for the UK. We're at the top of the tree, boxing-wise, in the world. Well, ram it home by putting 2 of our biggest stars in together. Tyson versus AJ. It should have happened 2 or 3 years ago. Well, it can still happen now. Forget about Usyk. Just make that happen now. Usyk will still be there. Let him be ringside and fight the winner, which is obviously, I believe, going to be Tyson. But AJ, if he loses like Deontay in his last fight, I didn't want to really see that third fight because I thought, well, he's pointless. But it ended up not being pointless because Deontay's stock went up because the manner in which he lost.
Yeah. All right. Give me a mark out of 10 for these two then. UK reffing, UK judging.
UK reffing's leaving quite a bit to be desired, and obviously I get on well with a lot of the refs, and but I'm not too fussed about, too happy about some of the decision that's happened over the recent last year or two. So out of how many? A mark out of 10, did you say, Russ?
Yeah, mark out of 10 for reffing and the judging.
I think 5 and 5.
5 and 5.
Mm.
Ooh. Ian John Lewis, should he have been sacked?
Uh, I'm not the right person to ask about Ian because Ian's my friend, so I'm not going to make a comment about Ian because I like him as a person. So I'm not going to make a comment about Ian. He's a friend, and we've had one or two good nights together. And I think when he gets it right, he's a pleasure to work with. So I'm not going to make a comment about him.
Well, I'm going to say this. He has made mistakes, but others have made mistakes. But I feel
Exactly.
he's been made a scapegoat, and the general feeling is he's been pushed out there when others were giving cards just as worse on other shows, and nothing's happened, has it?
Well, now you've said that, absolutely agree with you. Because I think, like you said, a lot of them have made some terrible mistakes, and they all need to get in a room together, or we need to have some sort of way of having a standard. Because I think our standards have dropped or the questionable. So get all our refs in, and like football's done, the referees now in the Premiership are quality refs, and they have to adhere to a standard. So I'm not sure if there's a standard that our boxing refs are supposed to adhere to, or there's somebody tweaking it and monitoring how the standard is got to and kept. That's what we need to do. We need to have a look at that.
Okay, then. 6 questions in 3 minutes. Right. Perry Howe versus Max Jenkins. Would you make it, Dennis?
If Max gets his derby off, gets on a bacon slices and loses a bit of weight, I might have a look at him. He don't look in bad shape. So I think he's just a bit too big. But if they was very close to the weight, I'd do that. Of course, yeah, I'd do that.
Good.
And if we could do it for some kind of title, absolutely I would. I like Max, but obviously I like Perry because like he works with us and he's with my dear pal Robert Riley. He's turning into a bit of a diva, but his kids and his missus, they're lovely people, and he brings a bit of theatre. And Max is a bit of a rebel. He's a character, so I'd like to do it, but he's got to get a bit closer in weight.
All right. 5 questions in 2 minutes. Right. Is Ross Birkinshaw coming back? Hey up, Dennis. Hey up, Porky Ross. Hey up, Michelle.
Coming back from where? He's only coming back from shop. Coming back from where? Being out to get some bread and milk. Where's he coming back from? Ross needs to stay as the Green Goddess with his tight leggings, training people. He's good at that. He's likable, is Ross, and he just needs to be training people and just enjoying what he achieved. That's what Ross needs to do.
All right. What about Fiuki? Is he coming back?
Fiuki is not coming back. He's got a great gym. We're going to train some good kids together, and we're going to produce champions from our gym. We've got some big things, some great ideas for next year and the year after, and you'll see Fiuki will start to produce some champions.
Right, we're out of questions, Dennis. You have a good Christmas day. All the best. All right, you take care.
Same to you, Russ. Love and best wishes, and here's to a big 2023.
All right, you take care. God bless.
Same to you, pal.
All right.
Bye.
Well, that were Big Ron. Good catch up that. Let's hope that YouTube clear this to go out today. If not, it'll probably be. Well, they've not cleared that other one, have they? So I've just put it out anyway. So, all right. Anyway, all the best. Peace out. Don't forget, if you're interested in a property abroad, Welcome Estates is the place to be. Or Spartan Demolition if you need anything flattening. Peace out.